Hello and welcome to Retail Management, BUS302. This is our final lecture video, week 8, lecture 4, the final lecture video. And this week, once again, we are talking just about the odds and ends of retail management. These are some last parting thoughts, if you will, related to being a retail manager. We've talked about the integrated marketing communication mix. We talked about recruiting and hiring and retaining employees. And in the last video, we ended by talking about some different leadership styles that could be used. Some other things that you're going to be really focused on as a retail manager is going to be scheduling your employees. And this is going to be a way to control your costs. And one of the highest costs that you have as a manager is going to be the employees that you employ, having employees at the right time, having to schedule them. So making sure that you have a schedule that works. Now, this can be difficult because throughout your day, you might have different times where people are coming and going, right? And so having the right coverage when is needed, that can be hard. So what a lot of companies do, they use computer software to schedule, right? So the computer, the AI, they either have an AI or they have some sort of system that goes through and figures out when employees should be there based on sales, right? So this might force you to need to use more part-time employees rather than full-time employees because, let's face it, part-time employees are going to be cheaper. You don't have to pay all the benefits and everything else. So that might be something. So, and also, if you do use software, it might suggest a schedule that's a little strange, a little weird, irregular hours, and people might not like that. But that is retail at times, right? So you're going to have to schedule people and work with them to meet their needs. Now, another thing that you're going to need, another cost that you're going to have to manage is the maintenance. Now, this is both interior and exterior elements. You want to make sure that your store is safe, right? So that there's nothing that's going to, no damage that's going to hurt anybody, right? So if you have potholes in your parking lot, you got to get those things fixed, right? If you have something going on, a tile that's broken in your store, you want to make sure that's fixed. So keeping store maintenance up. Now, the thing to remember is that a small problem today will develop into a bigger problem tomorrow. So dealing with the maintenance, don't put it off. Deal with it as soon as possible. Shrinkage is another major area, another big cost that you're going to need to deal with. And shrinkage can be it could be theft, employee theft, shoplifting. It could also just be inaccurate records. It could be a vendor error, right? There's a lot of reasons for shrinkage. And one of the things I remember from Walmart is that we had a goal of making sure that our shrink was always less than 2% of our sales, which when you're talking $500 billion, right, that's quite a bit, right? Because 10% of 500 is 50. So we're talking 2%, right? That's actually $10 billion. That was our goal, right? We want to make sure that we have shrink less than that. This is a huge amount that companies lose every year. And so making sure that you have appropriate systems in place to make sure that you don't have lots of shoplifting or employee theft, right? Or inaccurate records, all these different things. This is a huge part of your job as a retail manager to maintain profitability. All right. So when you start thinking about the manager, right, this is, again, trying to wrap things up. As a store manager, these are the things that you're going to have to do. There's the strategic management side, which we spend a lot of time talking about, developing your strategy. You've got that. Yeah, you do have that merchandise management piece, right? You got to find good vendors. You got to control your relationships and develop relationships and price and all those kind of things. But then you have the store management piece where you have to maintain your facilities and hire employees and deal with customers and do inventory, right? All these things. These are all things that you're going to that we have in management and retail. There's lots of stuff to do. And so it works really well. There's so many opportunities for people today, right? In retail, you can do so many things. All right, a couple last things that we want to deal with, and that's just touching base on HR, some legal issues. It is illegal to discriminate, right? There's lots of protected classes out there and everything else. Here's the best thing. Hire the best person for the job, right? Just go out, hire good people, and treat them well. Don't discriminate on people. Hire the best people. If you do that, you don't have to worry. And if you treat everybody well, again, you don't have to worry. That's the same thing, as you go through. When you compensate people, there is Fair Labor Standards Act. There is a minimum wage. There is the Equal Pay Act. But if you pay people a living wage, you're going to be meeting these requirements, right? And to be honest, if you take care of people and provide a living wage and don't hire people based on their abilities, right? If you do all those things, you're not going to have to worry about unions because you're going to have a good relationship with your employees. But if there are unions out there, and so the labor relations law, you have to understand how unions can be formed, and you also have to understand what if in your store they want to form a union, what you can and cannot do about that, right? You also have to maintain a safe workplace, OSHA, everything else. Take care of the maintenance issues, deal with maintenance issues, and make sure that your workplace is safe. That's a huge thing for your employees and also for your customers. It's so important for that. All right, here we go. The last slide, the last thing we want to mention as we wrap up our course, right? You want to, again, make sure that you're, and it's an HR issue. It's a great one to, you want to make sure that you treat people well, everything else, make sure that people are safe, and make sure that you deal with if there's ever harassment, don't allow that in your stores, right? So don't allow sexual harassment to occur. Don't stand for it, right? Respect people and respect who they are and everything else, and right, don't allow it. And then finally, make sure that employees do have a right to certain privacies, but at the same time, it's not as expensive as they think, right? So as an employee, right, they do have to, when they're at work, they're at work. They're not allowed to be on their phone, everything else. And if you see that, you have to manage those things. So, but at the same time, you want to do your best to respect them and respect their privacy and deal with that issues. I mean, some people are saying, hey, you can't do this if I put it on my Facebook. Yeah, actually we can, right? So you need to help people be aware of that. And so do your best just to manage people well and treat them well. And if you do that, you're going to do very well as a manager. So with that, I will sign off. It's been great working with you throughout these last 8 weeks. And I look forward to seeing you in the course home as we wrap up this course together. Have a good one, everybody.